Escalating economic cost of oil theft in Nigeria amid oil price rally and global disruptions cannot continue unabated. Now, the federal government is not only talking tough, but taking actions this time around. In this report, we explore how much of a menace the illegal oil diversion is and the strategy of government to checkmate the trend.
Crude oil theft in Nigeria's oil-rich Delta region remains one of the biggest economic threats faced by the country. To say the least, the environmental implications hold far more devastating impact. The diversion of crude is a chain of business for cartel of anti-state forces. Now, this drain is cornered from the point of exploration, where thousands of the product are produced to known destinations, to multiple receipts of unimported number of refined petrol by some marketers, to diversion of the subsidized petrol to neighboring countries for high profiteering. Oil racketing thrives for the cartel. Nigeria lost $3.2 billion in crude oil theft between January 2021 and February this year. This puts the figure to about 1.36 trillion naira when converted to naira, with the official exchange rate of 416 naira and 25 kobo to the US dollar exchange rate, a development that has forced the country's crude oil production to go way below quotas by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and benchmark in the 2022 budget. Oil theft rose significantly between 2021 and 2022, with over 90% of total crude produced at the Bonny terminal stolen in January 2022. Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission says losses are recorded mainly from the Bonny Terminal Network, Forkades Terminal Network, and Brass Terminal Network. A 2019 report by the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative says that Nigeria lost about $42 billion to crude theft, as well as domestic and refined petroleum product losses from 2009 and 2018. According to NEITI report now, the losses include about $38.5 billion in crude theft, $1.6 billion on domestic crude, and another $1.8 billion on refined petroleum products.
It's really a receding capacity of the state to police the environment. You remember, government exists for a reason. So when the coercive power of the state is weakened for any reason, it becomes difficult. So, and there will always be criminals. Essentially, three levels of problems. There's the what we call the point of origin theft of crude, which means that the crude that was produced at the wellhead did not make it to the terminal, didn't get into the tanks. And then, of course, there's the point of export issues, which means that it made it into the tank, but it wasn't fiscalized, it's not paid for. And then, of course, there's the import issue. So across this three broad spectrum, we have problems.
Nearly 2 years after the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited announced plans to reduce the cost of oil production to about $10 per barrel, this effort has been frustrated by the recurring oil theft, spiking production cost to at least $32 a barrel. With losses from pipeline vandalism and theft overwhelming international oil companies, many are already moving to the deep offshore region, while indigenous firms contend with rising operational expenses driven mostly by personnel, maintenance, and security costs. Operators note that Nigeria's operating expenses lack competitiveness, as the country in 2019 had one of the highest production costs, with a break-even price for major proposed projects hovering at $48 per barrel, which is higher than Angola's $45 and Uganda at $44 per barrel. This necessitated the move for lower oil production costs in 2020, specifically the $10 a barrel target. Now described as an organized crime and a national disaster, government is not only talking tough but taking action, establishing more synergy with security apparatus and exploring technologies like satellite surveillance monitoring systems and much more.
Oil and gas is one of the major sustaining assets of our country. But unfortunately, you will agree with me that we have had a lot of insecurity around oil facilities and pipelines. This can no longer be condoned. There is still ground to cover. So let us all work together and protect these national assets for the good of all.
Well, actually, it's a value chain. Our drive is to look at the rungs of the ladder, the chain within the oil and gas space. So we are not just zeroing on those who are the actual criminals, but also there are those who are supporting them, those who are sponsoring them. Those are the ones, of course, we will also go after. This is not a forum for me to tell you the entire gamut of what our strategy will be in reining them in. But I can assure you that there is going to be a huge difference to the good of the state. I wouldn't deny that security agencies have been complicit, and I think that's the reason why I said our approach is going to be very comprehensive, and that's why we're here. And of course, I've also told members of the armed forces I'm going to be ruthless with anyone that is found to have engaged in the malfeasance. But I can assure you that at the end of it all, there will be greater improvement in the entire space.
While crude oil is currently hovering around $120 per barrel as a result of the supply shortage induced by the Russian-Ukraine crisis, the losses being suffered from oil theft is making it difficult for Nigeria to take advantage of the surge in global crude oil price. Despite being Africa's largest crude oil producer, Nigeria has recently been struggling to meet its quota set for by the Organization of Exporting Countries. According to OPEC figures, Nigeria's crude oil production declined to an average of 1.41 million barrels per day in February 2022. Now, this figure is about 463,000 barrels per day lower than the 1.88 million barrels per day approved by the federal government in the 2022 budget. In a bid now to curb the current volume of oil theft, the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, toured the forest and creeks in the Niger Delta region alongside other important actors to get first-hand information on cases of oil bunkering and illegal refineries. The on-the-spot assessment is based on the directive from President Muhammadu Buhari as part of a holistic strategy to deepen oil production in the country and effectively end illegal oil mining and associated threats in the sector.
When you see what is happening on the pipeline and the scale of what is happening, clearly is beyond any explanation, in the sense that we do have to take care of it in terms of security, in terms of technology. Maybe we haven't done enough on all of them, but I think I can see the traction today in the manner in which we approach these issues today, the combined efforts of the government security agencies, the community, and also the oil companies. We think this is a very different approach, and it will work out.
Given the factors that aid crude oil theft include inadequate security, poor community engagement, economic challenges, poor surveillance, stakeholder compromises and exposed facilities, the Operation Delta Safe Joint Task Force have begun shutting down many loopholes.